Hey, what's up, folks? It's Jesse with Keeping Real Finance, the channel that always has your back, tells it like it is. Well, today is your weekly JASMY update. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a couple of retweets from Hara. Overall, it was kind of a quiet week on the JASMY front. Obviously, we've had a big-time bloodbath in the crypto market with the sinking of Luna and what's transpired with UST. But even with that, there's still a lot of bullish news here around JASMY, some bullish indicators in the chart, and it looks like we're really holding our own, so that's very positive. So we're going to be talking about all of that in today's video, as well as I wanted to touch on at the very end some insights by watching another YouTuber's video on some recent JASMY content, okay? So if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content just like this. And now, let's get it going. All right, what's up, everybody? Glad to be back with you on this Friday weekly update for JASMY. So this is your weekly recap. Overall this week, it's been a pretty quiet week on the JASMY front. I think most of this week's news has been dominated by the collapse of Luna and Terra USD, obviously. And on the JASMY front, there hasn't been anything regarding exchanges, which is kind of weird. You know, we're used to getting, all these different exchange listings. That's been real quiet. And really all we had was a couple of tweets by Hara. Now, I would say that these tweets, both of them are in Japanese, and you kind of need to get out your decoder ring to figure out exactly what's going on. But I think I've got the gist of it here. So hopefully I can break this down in a way that's easy to understand, right? So our first tweet here that Hara retweeted was this one, where it says, if you haven't seen it yet, you should see it soon. I can understand Web3 well, and various delusions spread. I'm not sure what that means. Again, here's that language barrier, right? What Mr. Terra is talking about is just JASMY. After all, the pillar of Japan's growth strategy is purely domestic coins. Interesting. So then if you click on this tweet here, here's what it looks like. So I pulled it up in another screen here. So he says, changing news program, ABEPRA, whatever that is, broadcast planning, is Web 3.0 non. So again, got to get the decoder ring, right? So we have the key to the revival of the Japanese economy by removing GAFA. Okay. So all that they're talking about here, GAFA stands for Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple, right? And I think what's becoming more and more prominent is a bit of a nationalistic sentiment in Japan that Japan needs to be a leader in technology moving forward. In the last video that I did last week, we really highlighted this with the Prime Minister's speech to the UK, centered all around those exact topics. So this kind of looks like a news debate where they're talking about that exact issue, right? And so they're saying the key to the revival of the Japanese economy is by removing Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and coming out with their own technology. So that's the GAFA side, so Web 3.0. So this is exactly where JASMY fits in. And the particular user that tweeted that, Hara obviously liked that tweet and then retweeted it as well. Okay, so that's what this is talking about. So it's national sentiment that's pro-technology, pro-Web3, pro-AI, pro-metaverse, pro-NFTs, etc. And JASMY is at the forefront of all of that. All right. Now, our next tweet, I think it was it? No, not that one. I think it was this one right here. Here we go. So this one, again, in Japanese says, this note also summarizes the capital and business alliance with the SBI Group, comprehensive capital and business alliance between RemixPoint and SBI Group. So again, you really kind of needed your decoder ring to figure out exactly what they're talking about here. And so when you click that link, it takes you to this page here, and it talks all about this partnership between SBI, RemixPoint, BitPoint, There is another one that's mentioned in here, this B2C2. It's kind of multiple businesses that are all working together. Now, if we want to know what they are, let me show you that. So, BitPoint, first of all, this is a Japanese cryptocurrency exchange. And I think we remember this guy. If you haven't seen this guy, the big boss, he's got a commercial that was advertising JASMY that I had seen, a couple weeks back. And look at that. So here's JASMY token, they refer to as JMY on here, right? But if you remember, I did a video a couple weeks back where we talked about this particular promotion right here with the 100,000 yen for 10 different users who are investing in JASMY or moving their JASMY into the platform. That's what I meant to say right here. So this is that particular platform, BitPoint. So this is part of that business alliance, okay? Now, if we move forward to RemixPoint, what exactly is RemixPoint? So RemixPoint essentially kind of looks like an electric. It's sort of a combination of a few things, but it looks, for the most part, to be an electric power company. Okay, it's also got some weird business dealings into used cars as well. So I'm not sure exactly how they expanded there or how they acquired that business, but it looks like the vast majority of it is centered around electrical work. All right. Now, lastly, we have the SBI Group. And so the SBI Group in particular, when I read about them, they kind of remind me of Cathie Wood and ARK Investments. Okay, so this is just a large investment group that's investing in the future. And in particular, in this message from their CEO, they noted that they want to invest in fields such as AI, blockchain, DLT, and IoT. So obviously, again, this is all kind of talking about JASMY because it checks all of those boxes. So to sum it up, we have a partnership announcement between Japan's crypto exchange. We have the partnership with an electrical company. Okay, so remember, there's always a big focus on mining, on keeping crypto green, right? There's the flip side of the coin with Bitcoin, for example, where people say it's bad for the environment. But then the flip side of that argument says, well, actually, this puts a focus on green energy, so this is good for the environment. Okay, so there's two ways to look at it. And then we have this SBI Group in particular. So going back to that main article here where they were talking about that, they're talking about the various partnerships. And this B2C2 also comes up. And they make mention that they're the world's top crypto asset liquidity provider with 90% stake in the SBI Group. So that's interesting too. So with each of these companies, there's sort of overlaps with shares and buying parts of the company, and they all kind of tie together at the end of the day. So really kind of interesting. Now moving forward here, there was a section. Where is it? RemixPoint's electricity business. Nope, just talked about that. Let me go a little further down. Here it is. I highlighted it. So it says, furthermore, we will jointly establish the Metaverse Fund and invest in various Metaverse and Web 3.0 projects in Japan and overseas. So specifically, again, we're talking about JASMY. Okay, so that's where all of this ties back to JASMY. The JASMY is listed on the BitPoint exchange. BitPoint is tied into RemixPoint, the electric company, who's then tied into SBI Holdings, the investment company, and they're looking to invest into Web 3.0, AI, IoT, et cetera, all things JASMY. And so if you go back to that earlier tweet, it all kind of comes together about how Japan is really making a concerted effort and a focus towards rebranding, rebuilding their economy into the technology of the future that is Web 3.0, including IoT, metaverse, and so on, right? So all of this really ties back to JASMY in particular, which is why Hara's over there retweeting it. So pretty interesting. Now, moving forward, wanted to move over to CoinMarketCap, see what's happening. Now, obviously, this week has been a bit of a bloodbath overall. So it started bear with the Fed rate hike. Whether the market manipulation that has led to Luna's demise is true, We still need to learn some more info there. That's a bit of a developing story, but by all accounts, it looks like the market was purposefully tanked, specifically in Bitcoin, which has just torn everything down. And then Luna and UST have been in this swirling death spiral over the last couple of days, just absolutely crazy. And I did a couple of posts yesterday on this. I wrote a blog article on it. Definitely, I'm so empathetic for all you guys out there that are lunatics, or if you know anybody, reach out to them, because that whole situation just sucks, right? I mean, it really does. And I've seen a couple of videos since that have sort of predicted that this could have happened, but no one really thought about the market manipulation aspect. And that's just a big part of this crypto industry right now. So that's just crap. But anyways, even with all of that bearish news, even with the market dropping substantially, look at Mount JASMY. So I've referred to our hodler wallets as Mount JASMY because it just keeps building over time. And right now we're sitting at 27,117. And, I should point out also that earlier in the week, before the death spiral of Luna and UST, when the market dropped on the Fed rate hike, almost everything was red but JASMY. So it was starting to deviate. And so that's a really positive sign for all of us holders within the JASMY project. Okay. Now, as of today, obviously I'm no longer even going to look at this circulating supply number, because we all know it's wrong. I proved that, multiple times. And, the Reddit user that pointed out, hey, just highlight over the check and you'll see the real numbers. So this is what we're looking at for our supply as of today. We got 30.8 billion tokens out there, and our market cap is roughly 346 million. Okay. Now, moving forward, let's take a look over at TradingView. So here's the current JASMY chart. Obviously, we've dipped a little further than what we wanted to, but we're still holding our own, so that's very positive in my eyes. Now, we've had a lot of volume that has come into JASMY basically since the beginning of March. Some significant volume's been here in the project. Going down further, down here to the RSI, you can see where we were pretty firmly oversold, right? We were very oversold over the last couple of days. We're still oversold at the moment, so we're due for a good rebound from here, all right? Now, the other thing that's very positive is if you look down here at the market cipher, so all of this red wave is money outflow, essentially, right? Well, eventually we want to see the green wave. So when we cross up here, the wave will turn green. That's money inflow. That's super positive, bullish, etc. Well, if you look over time, probably going all the way back to early March, we've been having an inflow here that has even continued recently with these market dips. So I think that's very positive, and that also correlates to the hodler wallets for more and more people stacking up their JASMY. So that's a very positive sign. All right. Now, lastly, I just wanted to show Etherscan. We'll go here and wanted to show the 500 million, 400 million token wallets, etc. Really, the big piece of news on these this week is on the 500 millions, we're sitting at 20. I want to say that we had dropped earlier in the week. I'm pretty positive I counted 19. So it looks like we're back to 20 on that front. On the 400 million token wallets, we're at 9. And on the 300 millions, we're at 8. So it does look like those have dipped a little bit, which, honestly, when the markets bear like this, I mean, I'd rather them get more coins out there than not. Okay. So that's pretty much it for today's weekly update. And I want to sum this up with some final thoughts, as well as some other insights that I got from watching a video from the user. His channel goes by the name Shitcoin Fundamentals. And he's been doing a lot of interesting JASMY videos lately. And he got me thinking on a couple of points that he made on his most recent video. So if you haven't seen that, shout out to him. Go check that out. But I wanted to talk about that for a minute in the final thoughts as well. All right. If you're enjoying today's video and want to learn more, make sure to visit our website at KIRfinance.com, your one-stop resource shop. Once you're at the site, the first thing to do is provide your email in order to be made aware of future announcements, including blog posts, products, and services. Next, check out the About Me section for a little bit about our mission and how we plan to pay it forward. We also have links to our social media, including Twitter and YouTube. Our brand new Patreon page was also just launched with the website, where users are offered various membership tiers for exclusive content and access. We even have a blog now where I plan to post daily financial articles. There's also a link to our merch shop where we've got KIR Finance product options for the whole family. Our affiliate links are posted for endorsed platforms. Just click the picture. NFTs are also available now at OpenSea.io. We have a financial education section, which includes my book on personal finance and soon-to-be course links. And lastly, if you'd simply like to leave a tip, you also have that option, and we'll mention your support in our next video. Thanks for watching, and now let's get back to the video. All right, so let's sum up today's video. So looking at those two retweets, I think the first one obviously ties into a nationalistic sentiment, a kind of rebranding of Japan, a conversion of Japan for the future of what it looks like and the technology that they will bring to the world, okay? You know, talking about getting rid of GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and sort of having a nationalistic pride. You know, Japan is a very prideful, honorable culture. Okay, so I totally understand that. They want to build very high quality products from the ground up. And that's kind of what they're saying that they need to do to move into the future and stop relying so much on foreign products and companies. Okay, so that all kind of centers around projects like JASMY that center around Web 3.0, as I mentioned, you know, NFTs, the metaverse, IoT, all that stuff. Okay. The next retweet that involved the business alliance with RemixPoint and BitPoint and SBI Group is also very bullish as well, because it kind of shows a meeting of various power players within the Japanese business world. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So we've got the combination of all of those, and what they're looking to invest in all ties back into JASMY. So there are JASMY ties sprinkled all through this. So that is very bullish as well. Further bullish is that Mount JASMY just keeps on building. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. You know, it's that volcano that's steadily building over time. It's kind of like an island rising out of the Pacific, right? That's exactly what JASMY is doing right now. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And with that, we've really held our own pretty well this past week, whereas many other projects have been very, very red. I'm sure everybody's portfolios are red. You know, nobody predicted that 2022 would go down like this. Nobody saw this coming, all right? You know, every cycle prior to this one has had a blow-off top. We haven't had any blow off top, right? You know, my personal view is after this latest drop, hopefully we get a rebound through the end of this cycle, and then everything's kind of over at 2024, and, you know, we start all over again. So JASMY, in my view, has always been a long-term play, a long-term project. I do a steady DCA in this one pretty much every day. And in the long run, you know, you'll be well rewarded when you do that, okay? So now, going to the video by Shitcoin Fundamentals, which, by the way, I love the channel name. So he made a couple of really interesting points in that one. And one of them in particular was he said that JASMY being built on Ethereum as an ERC20 token is going to be too expensive to do what JASMY wants to do in order to have these transactions with the data. And I tend to agree with him. I think he's right. You know, obviously that's the Achilles heel of Ethereum is the gas fees. That's kind of like the killer here. And so JASMY really at some point either has to have their own blockchain, their own mainnet, or they need to get on another blockchain, you know, like a Polkadot or a Cosmos or whatever they're going to do, okay? They really need to do one of those. And I would imagine that this is actively going on behind the scenes because they have mentioned before that they are working on a wallet. Now, we haven't seen the wallet yet, but we know that's in development. And so I mentioned in my past videos that they really need a mainnet so that all of us holders can stake it on mainnet and get even bigger rewards. We can secure the network, we can vote on governance, all those things, right? We can't do that right now, and so the only staking you can find anywhere is through Binance, because they just offer staking through their platform for any coin, whether they have a mainnet or not, right? So with all of that, and with his post on it, I thought that was a very valid point, that essentially JASMY has to have a way to do their business model with cheaper transactions than what you would get through Ethereum. So we'll see what happens on that front. I'm kind of curious to see where this develops into the future. Now, going back to the other point that he had made in the video, specifically he was talking about the secure knowledge communicator and the smart guardian and how those data lockers would work. Well, I had somebody come out and say, you know, actually, Jesse, it's all based on licenses. That was in the white paper. Okay, interesting. So when I talked about, you know, just kind of brainstorming around this last week, I was trying to formulate exactly how this would work and what it looks like. Well, if you think about it, if JASMY is then selling licenses, then each business would buy a license, and maybe there's different levels, right? So maybe a level 1 license gets you access to the user data of 10,000 users, okay? Maybe a level 2 gets you access to 50,000 users, and level 3 is 100,000, and then there's a price built in with that, and then they would, you know, pay with their JASMY token. That would then be exchanged. JASMY, the project, takes their cut, and then the user is rewarded for their data. So the whole license thing I hadn't really thought about last week, but it does make a lot of really good sense. So if you think about it, for a business, they probably don't want to, you know, have to be doing it on a one-by-one basis or a specific number of users. They kind of want just a group rate. And that's what they were getting at there, that by having a license, that's exactly what they would have as a group rate, okay? So all of that made really good sense, and going back to his video, I thought he made some good points there on some different items that I hadn't really considered or thought about, and it got me thinking, so I figured I'd mention that in today's video for you. All right, so that's all I got for today. Again, a bloodbath of a week, but a pretty good week overall for JASMY, ironically enough. All right, so if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget that I'm also on Twitter at KIR Finance, where you can find me tweeting and retweeting, so check me out there. And lastly, for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always has your back, tells it like it is, and I will see you on the next one. Later.